Hi, it's Jason from Eats and Beats, aka your professional home chef, aka Mr. You Do You, aka Julius Seasonal. A big part of eating seasonally means being okay with moving on from certain types of produce depending on the time of year. Not too long ago, my area got its first fall frost, which means that for many plants, we've come to the end of the road, and we should let go. It is natural. In my backyard garden, that meant I had to go pick every single one of the tomatoes off the vines, whether they were ripe or not. For the ripe ones, I sliced them for last episode's smoked salmon BLT. Go check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. But for all the unripe ones, I decided on 2 different preparations, which you'll get both of for today's episode, green tomatoes. Enjoy. For the first of our 2 green tomato uses, I remembered that someone suggested in the comments of my pickled radish episode to try pickling green tomatoes, so I decided to give it a shot. My little kitchen helper started by sorting the tomatoes by size. The smallest ones are going to be left whole, and they get a thorough wash and rinse, and then I check the volume left in the jar by filling it with water and measuring that liquid. To pickle, I'm using a pickling spice blend that includes bay leaf, coriander, pepper, and mustard seed. I'm also adding dried dill and garlic powder. Next comes the part that needs to be measured. For every 2 cups of liquid, I use a tablespoon of kosher salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar. The liquid is split half water, half vinegar. This gets heated up on the stove just long enough for things to dissolve, and then poured over the tomatoes. To preserve the texture, I always add a tiny bit of calcium chloride to the jar before I seal it up and leave it in the fridge. The slightly larger tomatoes are getting cut down to size before getting covered in the exact same brine. Once they've cooled down to room temp, both jars will go in the fridge and be perfect in about a week. In preparation for our second tomato dish, the kitchen helper and I are putting together a quick Old Bay remoulade sauce. Old Bay, smoked paprika, brown mustard, Dijon mustard, some caper brine, a little ketchup, hot sauce, and mayonnaise. After giving it a good stir, it gets bottled and we move on to using the largest tomatoes for dish number 2, fried green tomatoes. These were a tasty heirloom variety that I grew, and after slicing them up and tossing them in my flour dredge, I realized that I was completely out of eggs. So instead, I came up with a workaround to use mayonnaise, which is really just eggs, oil, and vinegar when you think about it. The final step was to toss in panko breadcrumbs, then into the fry basket, and after about 4 minutes, crispy, delicious fried green tomatoes. Seasonal eating isn't a trend, it's a way of life. While you can get tomatoes at the grocery store year-round, those factory farm tomatoes are usually grown in non-ideal conditions and are essentially flavorless. If you know, you know. So enjoy what the season has to offer, and when it's over, you have something to look forward to for next year. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my Substack for this recipe and all my others, and don't forget to like, share, follow, comment, and let me know what you want to eat for dinner.